The government is defending its controversial value-added tax increases and the departure from its previous stance against it. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kishla Adderley, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. Topping the news tonight, Finance Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Peter Turnquest, in a post-budget communication press conference today, said that times and circumstances have changed drastically since members of the Minister administration voiced their opposition to VAT increases. Once again, tonight we have team coverage touching various angles, leading off with our Altavis Munnings.
We've set the rate at 12% because we believe that it will meet the needs of the Bahamas well into the future.
With an over $600 million deficit, Minister of Finance, Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Peter Turnquest, didn't mince words at his ministry's live press conference on the 2018-2019 budget Thursday that when one lives above their financial means, they have to pay. And that's one of the main reasons why the government will increase value-added tax from 7.5% to 12% on July 1st. Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson explained some of the options the government used to finalize the VAT increase.
We went and bought another $638 million. Then now next year, you go from $381 million with interest financing to $450 million. And then that's more money. So the problem is, what you do, you kick the can down the road. Borrowing excessively only makes the problem down the road. The second option is we could have continued a false budget. We could have brought in, the good thing about paper is to sit down and let you write anything on it. So we could have carved the budget to say we only could run a $100 million deficit, and both Minister and I would sleep a lot better, at least in the short term. But guess what? Again, another 2 or 3 years, bills ain't getting paid, or as we discussed, we could have sent almost 6,000 to 7,000 people. Even if that was done, you create an economic, you take all those salaries out of the economy, you put all those people on social welfare, and you take all that consumption out, and you end up slowing down the economy to negate whatever budget savings you had.
We decided on the 12% rate because it gives us the best opportunity to get through this period of consolidation as quickly as possible and begin to reduce the pain on the Bahamian people.
And according to Minister Turnquest, the new increase in value-added tax is one of the lowest in the region. According to PwC.com, Barbados pays 17.5% value-added tax. 15% value-added tax is levied in Antigua and Barbuda, Jamaica, and the Dominican Republic. Guyana pays 14% value-added tax, and residents in St. Lucia, as well as Trinidad and Tobago, pay 12.5%.
I think the lowest rate that we saw in our comparable states is 12.5%, and they went all the way up to, I think it's 21% or something. So ours, even though it's increased, it is still below, well below the regional average, and we do not see any further increases in this rate anytime in the near future.
But the question on the minds of many Bahamians is, if taxes go up, will salaries increase too?
If you increase wages in one sector, the business is going to compensate for that, which means they're going to increase the cost of the product or the service that they deliver. That means the consumer who is buying that cost of goods or service, they're going to have to spend more. And then that passes on because they're going to also demand an increase in wage. Right? And so it just goes through. And so by the time as you account for the increase in wage, less the cost of living increase as a result of businesses are increasing their cost to compensate for that increase in wage, the net amount of the increase is probably negligible.
Besides value-added tax, Minister Turnquest also responded to comments made about the budget yesterday by the opposition Progressive Liberal Party. My colleague Cleopatra Murphy joins us now with that angle of the story. Cleo?
The Minister of Finance, the Honorable Peter Turnquest, says the opposition is in no position to criticize after the financial position it left the country in.
It is laughable that an opposition that oversaw a massive run-up in debt over the last 5 years would have the nerve, the gall, to stand before the Bahamian people to talk about this current government that is taking the very deliberate and difficult decision to try and fix this runaway train that we've had for the last 5 years.
Progressive Liberal Party Deputy Leader and Spokesperson on Finance, Chester Cooper, said the budget and the plan to increase VAT to 12% was not only dangerous, but the move would undo the progress of the most progressive tax reform in generations. The Minister of Finance struck back and says the Christie administration oversaw and ran up government wages by $266 million in 5 years and left a $650 million deficit.
They have run up expenditures to over $1 billion. Real cost, recurrent cost, that the Bahamian people have to pay. Very irresponsible spending. In the last year alone, you know the number of people who have been sold a dream, been given 3-month contracts and 6-month contracts to try to win an election.
Turnquest says the former administration left government with few options to address the country's current financial condition, and now tough decisions have to be made for the sake of future generations.
We have an obligation as a government, as a people, to ensure that there is a stable Bahamas, a safe Bahamas, a progressive Bahamas for them to inherit. And if that means that I don't know what I'm doing, then God help me. Because I know one thing, not acting is not an option.
Turnquest says the PLP government left Bahamians with a bill no Bahamian was prepared for, and now the current administration must fix it. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.